What do Indians think about American democracy, and what can India learn from perhaps a quote unquote democracy in the US? Let's find out together. Let's get into it.
Our next story is from the US. The country is heading for a major election. They will choose a new president this November. So you would think that the people are all fired up. They have the chance to decide their fate. They get a say on how the next 4 years will pan out. It's not something that every country can boast of, but it seems that the Americans aren't too excited about their democracy. Here's a new poll that just came out, and the findings are bleak. It says about 80% of Americans feel that their democracy is at stake. 80%. 4 out of 5 Americans feel that this democracy will crumble, depending on who wins. On the one side, you have the Democrats. They're the ones who are the most alarmed. They think that if Donald Trump wins, American democracy will die. I suppose this does make sense. After all, Trump did say that he wanted to be a dictator on day one, but he also said it would only be for one day. Despite that disclaimer, it seems Democrats haven't been reassured. Only 20% of all Democrats feel that American democracy will survive another Trump presidency. What about the Republicans, though? Well, most of them also feel that democracy won't survive. Only 24% Republicans do not fear a Kamala Harris presidency. Why is that? Well, they think the Democrats are a danger to democracy because of how Donald Trump has been treated over the last few years. He's faced a number of lawsuits. Republicans think that he is being unfairly targeted via the judicial system. And that is why they fear for democracy. And then you have the third group of American voters, the independents. They are the most pessimistic bunch. 1 in 3 independents believe that American democracy is already broken. They think that it doesn't really matter who wins. American democracy is already too far gone to save. That is the result of this new survey that's come out. Like I said, it's very bleak. And it's in complete contrast to the way that America projects itself. What do you usually think of when you hear the term USA? Perhaps the American flag comes to mind, or the bald eagle, America's democracy mascot. You can almost hear people screaming the word freedom. That's how the US has always projected itself anyway. It keeps calling itself the world's oldest democracy, and it has certainly used this freedom and democracy image to justify its actions, no matter how undemocratic. Think about all the wars that America has waged in the name of democracy. Sure, a lot of these wars were fought against countries with oil deposits like Iraq and Libya and Iraq again. But that was just a coincidence, right? The US insisted that it was really about democracy. So what if these countries ended up in a worse place after the US got involved? Like Afghanistan, or Libya, or Haiti, or most of South America. Whether it's a war or CIA intervention, America always says it is working for democracy, but now its own citizens believe that democracy is dead. So what can be done? How will the US reassure its citizens that democracy really is going to be fine? Perhaps the rest of the world can help. We can follow America's own example and start sending election observers, perhaps a UN-backed monitoring team that can certify that the elections are free and fair. Maybe that would reassure American citizens. Another way to follow Washington's example is to keep commenting on everything. We can all release parliamentary reports monitoring the health of American democracy. We can keep flagging any discrepancies and issuing strongly worded messages whenever US democracy looks like it is under threat. Worst case, we can impose sanctions as a punitive measure for faltering democratic credentials. It may seem harsh, but that's how the US behaves whenever it feels that democracy anywhere else is under threat. Now that Americans feel their own democracy is failing, perhaps it's time for the rest of the world to repay the favor.
So what do you guys believe about democracy in the US? Is it failing? Is it not? Is it that? Is it not? As the largest country, democratic country in the world, how do you view that in the context of your, if you like, democracy and Could you ever imagine India waging wars in the sentiment of democracy? I would love to know your points of view. Obviously, the way it is perceived, it has an impact on the world. And as she was saying, yeah, they when America comes to my mind, the line comes like the land of hope and glory, the mother of the sea, comes first to my mind. Land of hope and glory. The U.S. was always supposed to be the city of the hill, on the hill. It was supposed to be like the pinnacle of, like it was supposed to be, I guess, a new project once people realized that the criminals that they were sent from the UK to the US actually survived the voyage and survived living conditions there. But I don't know, the people there, especially the independent, I guess a lot of things can be masked under the notion of democracy. And I don't know if these days it's not a totalitarian regime. And I wonder, what do you guys learn from that? Like, what kind of democracy do you want to see as India, like knowing all these things about the US? I know that a freedom of speech is not completely out there. And in India, I'm not too sure I quite understand that. So I would love to know what that actually means, because I think I've had some time ago conversations about that, that you guys cannot say certain things. Whereas in America, you can really say whatever you want. So I wonder, how you view democracy in India, and yeah, and what you are learning, actually observing America, and what kind of impact it has on you, if any. Right. But I think with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video with me. If you did enjoy it, please give a thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe to this channel. And I'll see you next one. Until then, please do take care. I'm sending lots of love. Bye-bye.